Hey everybody, what's up? It is Darren Bricky here, PPL Podcast, episode number 3. Pretty exciting time. So for those of you who are in the Facebook group, the pay-per-lead marketers on Facebook, we had a poll up and basically asked how you want the content to be, and the vast majority of you guys decided that we're going to have one basic podcast on Monday where it's just content, and then I'll supplement that content throughout the week. With interviews or demos, talking about more stuff, or even diving into questions more about the topic that was on Monday. And one of the questions we had on the first episode of the PPL podcast was from Fernando, and he says, "Hey Darren, thanks again for this. Again, as awesome as per usual. I hope you'll indulge me here as I have a question. What's your thinking behind requiring your partner to pay for the first 10 leads in advance? Thanks again." So in the personal injury space, I used to not do this at all. I used to never ask for the first 10 leads because I was referral based, and I would really super qualify people, and I'm good at the point now where I can kind of know if the person's going to pay or not going forward. So I am mostly paid traffic, so I do a lot of PPC. So somebody runs my PPC for us now. I have an employee do that, or we'll outsource the invisible depending on time frames. But the idea here is that I want to pay for that, right? I don't come out of my own pocket if I don't have to. And asking for the first 10 leads does a couple things. The first thing it does, it really truly solidifies the relationship. When you're first starting out in PPL, PPL by itself, you're taking a lot of risk on its own. So if you're going to qualify someone, you need to really make sure they're closed, because, if you're doing paid especially, you're going to have leads coming in the first 3 weeks. You're going to have leads coming into the door. So you need to make sure they can pay you. And if you're doing paid, you're going to have, cost associated with that. If you're doing PPC yourself, even if you're doing average yourself, you still have costs. You guys have landing pages, you got to do all that stuff. So it takes a bit of money. When you're first starting out, you're probably not going to be the best at knowing if that person's a really good prospect or not. It's something that you kind of learn, you kind of adapt. I don't have a formula that says this is to know if that person is a good prospect or not. But we do that through, like I said before, we do it through a lot of qualifying questions, kind of make sure that they're qualified with everything we're doing. That's really kind of the point there. And so the point of all this is that when you're qualifying someone and you have them and you know they're going to be really good, you don't have to ask for the first 10 leads. But the first 10 leads makes the relationship really, really strong, because they're willing to pay you. And then again, if you're doing home services, you're getting $100, maybe $200 per lead. You're talking about $1,000 or $2,000 up front. That's the only time they're going to prepay. It also gives you time to go through the process of onboarding them and then paying for all the stuff you got to pay for to get them on board in the first place. So there is some of that, right? The other part of it too is, like I said, it does help you start your pay-per-lead process. So if you are running Craigslist ads, or you're running Facebook ads, whatever it is, or you're even obviously PPC, you can set up the account, run your tests, and do all that kind of stuff. Set up landing pages for those ads to go to, all that kind of stuff. That costs money and time and effort. Whether you're doing it yourself or you're paying someone, it costs you money. I mean, your time has some value. Hopefully it increases over time, right? But the idea there is that, you can kind of have them prepay for it. But again, it really goes back to, in the beginning, you're not going to be super qualified. So let me talk a little about how I do this with personal injury. So in the personal injury space, our leads are $375 per lead. So they're paying $3,750 up front. But law firms can afford that. The guys that we're working with, that's nothing. It's basically nothing. But also too, I haven't sold leads, which we're not going to get too much, obviously here, but we sold a service and flanked them to the lead. So again, if you haven't seen the flanking pitch, definitely go watch that. I'll put a link in the description here on YouTube. For those of you on the podcast, obviously, you can go to YouTube and find it, or in the Facebook group, I'll link it again there. But the real purpose of all this is to solidify the relationship, because you're not really sure if they're going to pay you in the future. And it helps you start the process, right? It helps you not put money out of your own pocket to get started. And it's really can be really beneficial that way. So you don't have to do the first 10 leads. And also, people will settle for 5 leads a lot. It gives you a negotiating platform. So what a lot of people will do is, and I see this a lot, I'll say, hey, you can do 10 leads, and they'll like, well, that sounds like a lot of money, so I'll just do 5 leads. Well, what's half of 5? 2 or 3 leads. What's the point of paying 2 or 3 leads? Right? By asking for 10, you can always negotiate down to 5. You'd see, like, you say, hey, the first 10 leads $1,000 to get started today. Basically, that just kind of solidifies the relationship, and then what you do is that gets invoiced, and it comes off your next invoices, so you don't have invoices right away. But if they say, well, I'm not really sure what to do, listen, I don't do this very often, but how about this? Let's just make this very simple. 1,000 is too much. Let's make it a very nominal. What's a job worth to you? $500 in your pocket, fine. Let's do $500. Let's do one job, and let's just work with that. It gives you a chance to kind of negotiate. If you go in with the 5 leads up front, you really don't have a whole lot of wiggle room there to negotiate lower pricing to get them into the door. Like, you want them to feel like they've won, and you can't do that if you go to 5. You go to 5 to 2. I mean, it's like you go from let's say $500 to $200. I mean, it's like you're not really asking for it. It's nothing. $200 is nothing. Maybe that's good enough, but that doesn't give you a chance to run anything. You can't run ads with that. Not a whole lot there. And also, too, I think a lot of partners, and it helps you overcome objections, right? Because a lot of partners are, like you said, talking about in the first episode, a little bit jaded of past services, but it allows you to overcome those objections that they're going to have before those first sales, and it gives you a chance to listen, we set up an account. It takes a couple weeks to set up. It takes a couple weeks to get the AdWords account up, do the keyword research for that area, and also the landing pages. So it takes a couple of weeks. It allows you to do wow service, which again, we're not going to talk about too much on these podcasts, but the idea is that you're onboarding them. What's your process to onboard? That should be the same for everybody. It should be a simple process that you have. What are you doing day 1, day 3, day 5, day 7, day 10, whatever it is? What are you doing on those days? And it allows you to look like a larger company, which is nice, but it also allows you to be better at what you do. And what I mean by that is that it gives you you'll know your timing. You'll know they've already paid you, so on your end you've been paid now. So now you have to produce. If someone doesn't pay you, I'll do SEO, and 3 months from now I might get a call or two. If someone pays you, you gotta get leads right now. That's what I always recommend doing. So definitely make that happen for you. That's kind of really the idea. Another question we had on the first episode was, what are the current top PPL traffic sources by volume? What are your current PPL traffic sources by volume? So I'm about, if I had to guess, 75% paid. I don't get near as many calls through organic. Excuse me. Not because, first of all, I don't do a whole lot of SEO. I don't really do I do a lot of page building, don't get me wrong, but those are kind of like a process. It's like just a thing. We get a lot of long tail keywords for that. But volume wise, a vast majority of my stuff is PPC. The volume wise, I get a lot more through Facebook than I do, but I'm also spending a hell of a lot more on Facebook ads than I am on PPC. AdWords. But yeah, it's paid. Paid is always going to be the way to go. And I consider Craigslist paid. If I was in home services, which I'm not yet, I will be soon. If I'm home services, I'll be doing a lot of Craigslist, a lot of AdWords, probably less Facebook in that niche. That whole industry, only because it's very passive, and most of these home services are emergency based. There are some that are obviously not emergency based, and there is some room for retargeting, remarketing kind of stuff, obviously. And there's also local awareness ads you could run that get a phone number out there. We did a test run as a joke for a PPL site we built. We got 3 calls over the Thanksgiving weekend with I think it was $18 in ad spend on Facebook by doing a local awareness ad. Call us now. Hey, we're open during the holiday. So that kind of worked really well. But yeah, for the most part, it's paid. It's mostly AdWords or Facebook ads, depending on what the niche is. Again, your niche in personal injury can work really well for Facebook ads. A lot of people don't think it can. It's because they're going after the wrong way. There's a lot of things you have to do in Facebook because it's not very direct. Someone's not typing in personal injury lawyer into Facebook, but there's ways to help to know if someone's been in an accident or do whatever. Our funnel right now, I think, is $117. We got it down again. We were getting pretty high there for a while, but we're at $117 per lead through Facebook ads. some people say, "Oh my God, it's so expensive." I'm like, okay, well, do your thing. I don't mind paying that at all because I'm getting $3.75 per lead. So not all, I guess not all my clients are paying that high. Some are paying $2.50 still, but because they've been around for a while. But I'm still doubling my money, and I can control it. I can just turn it on, turn it off. It's fine. I don't worry about updates. I don't worry about any of that stuff. The way we, like I said before, the way we do our SEO is we do like on the mass page builders. We build out for long tail keywords. We don't go after like personal injury lawyer or auto accident attorney. We go after like seatbelt injury or neck injury after accident, that kind of stuff, because that's really where most marketers aren't thinking. Most marketers are going after, I have to rank for personal injury attorney to get calls. Yeah, that you will get calls. If you rank for that, you will get calls. It's about time and effort. I build very little links to my sites because I don't need to. I go after the long tail stuff and make my site very relevant, and I share it on social media, and we run ads against all that stuff and have traffic from social media for it. So there's things you can do there. But for the most part, the two talking points for today is really kind of, if you do ask for the first 10 leads, I recommend that in the beginning. I think it's just something that's good to do because you're not really good at qualifying people yet. You're not, always ask more questions. If you feel comfortable and you don't mind losing a couple bucks if they don't pay, then don't ask for the 10 leads. But for me, we started doing that about a year and a half ago, probably about a year ago. Yeah, a little more than a year ago. I think it was October is the first time we asked. October of 16 we asked. So yeah, we started asking for it, and the people pay. In the personal injury space, I'm pretty much 100% referral based, so we don't ask for that up front for the most part. We did some prospecting with one of the guys in the group in October of 16, and we asked and we got it. I mean, I'm good at selling lawyers, so it's not really difficult, and they understand the cost. They get it. Like, they don't have a problem. They understand how that works. And that's kind of the reason I started doing PPL in the first place, or marketing arbitrage in the first place, was that's how lawyers get paid, right? Lawyers put all the money up, do the work, and then whatever, but they have an agreement. You sign an agreement and an actual agreement that's binding because they're lawyers. That's the way to get around that in new space is to bind them to 10 leads. Because remember, if you're charging $100 per lead, you should be getting a cost, hopefully around 30, 35. You shouldn't get higher than that. I mean, if you go up to 50 even, you're still doubling your money. So even if you produce 10 leads and they say, I want the difference back, whatever they want, whatever, doesn't matter. You're still making money. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a temporary run, but just don't give. I don't like to give away free leads. My time and effort costs money, and yours does too. And you should get rewarded for it. And again, the second part is traffic sources. I don't have a numbers volume of how many more leads I get. We get an average of 127 leads a week in the personal injury space. I would say 80 to 90% of those are through Facebook, because we're not running a whole lot of stuff with PPC through AdWords. I mean, just because our funnel works, and so it's like one thing you'll learn in this business is how much to charge someone, meaning you don't want to overcharge volume-wise. What I mean by that is if you have someone who can take 30 leads a month and all of a sudden you charge, you're sending them 50, but even if they can handle it, they can handle 50 leads a month, that is that, $5,000? Is that right? $5,000 a month. That's fine. But if you're doing that a week, what happens then, right? So now it's $20,000 a month, and over a year, that's $240,000, right? They look at their taxes and they say, we paid out this one guy $240,000 for marketing. I can have a whole division. I can have 3 guys full time doing marketing for that. Why would I pay this guy? So you have to be careful with that. That has happened to me with a personal injury law firm. We were getting up to right around $60,000 a month, and the very next year, $700,000 worth of $700,000 worth of bills. That number becomes debatable, right? You have the conversation, but if you're doing, If you're charging them 15, 20 grand a month, that's not a conversation that's had to them. But for lawyers wise, if you're doing a home service one, I would say probably maybe 5 to 10,000 a month is probably the max I would do. That's a full time employee, right? So whatever. Because then the thing is that let's say you charge them $240,000 for a plumber a year. That's another employee with a truck. That's more jobs they can take on, right? I don't ever want to be a choice, right? I want to always be the one. So that's also two ways you have to communicate with your partners. But anyway, guys, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for hanging out tonight. If you guys have any questions, obviously, if you're on Facebook, go to facebook.com/groups/pay-per-lead-marketers. You can post your questions in there. And for those of you here on YouTube, just put a comment comment in the comment section below. And I'll definitely try to get to those in the next one. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching on the PPL Podcast. See you guys later.